You're listening to the Dual Threat Show with Todd Tramonte and Jason Simard. They are two proven team leaders sharing what works and sharpening each other through regular discussion about the real estate industry.
What's up, folks? Todd Tramonte here with my good buddy Jason Simard. And is this our first ever guest? This is like
and
so official.
He literally got 1 minute's notice too, which is perfect.
1 minute notice, 47 seconds of pre-show prep, which is a lot longer than normal. And we got the one and only, the good Dr. Eric Robb, who's not a doctor, but I do like to call him that because he's so legit. Eric Robb joining us on the Dual Threat Show. If you've tuned in before, we don't take ourselves too seriously here, but Jason and I typically throw out a topic, kind of talk it through, help each other, sharpen our businesses, and then obviously openly share that with as many people as want to check this out. And we don't really put any extra energy into making this like some big podcast, but we did see this week, we achieved a reasonably decent milestone of downloads. I won't say the number because some people will think it's huge and some people will think it's not. But it was kind of an encouragement that we're not really trying that much, but people are checking it out. So
you know what, Todd, let me stop you for a second. We're the greatest podcast out there. We're just not that well known yet. Okay. So there's not a greater podcast that you'll find. So you definitely want to download this. I mean, it is the greatest podcast.
You're failing at life if this is the first time you've seen this, is what we're saying.
Exactly.
But anyway, so if you do like it, or if this is your first time, subscribe anywhere you can find a podcast. It's Dual Threat, and we're not making money off the podcast. We're here to help, and it's really helped us. I mean, I feel like there's been several times lately that one or both of us has been like, dude, this was great. This was like super helpful. I'm totally ready to go talk to my team. And then we've even talked about, doing these with our team leads and just swapping ideas and always trying to make them, most of them public, just to share. So anyway, super happy to have Eric, who's in the Atlanta, Georgia market. Let's get specific. What part of Atlanta, Eric, do you claim?
We primarily work the north end of Atlanta. If you're familiar with Atlanta, we have the perimeter, and then we work kind of Alpharetta, Johns Creek, kind of the North Fulton side where we try to specialize. So I'm happy to have been bamboozled into the Todd Tramonte, Jason Simard show today. This is great.
Yeah, I travel to Alpharetta for a non-real estate mastermind I'm in a couple times a year, and I've been able to connect with Eric there, and then obviously had him on some panels at the unofficial Real Geeks conference and have stayed connected. So
great guy, by the way, and done very well in real estate. So we're very honored to have you on our little show.
Yeah, man. So let me just throw out kind of a topic question idea, and then we'll just attack it from every angle and see what happens. But we were chatting in our extensive show prep about kind of what Eric's wrestling with right now, which we've all been there before. And at times when things ebb and flow can get ourselves back there, which is probably more leads than are able to be really well followed up with and converted and prospected. Which is, in a way, it's better than not enough leads, but it is still a problem, right? And I know I've been there for sure and wrestled with how many leads is the right number. So I recently saw Eric actually kind of talking with someone online about how leads are not really the problem anymore, that conversion is the challenge. And we run three somewhat similar, but in a lot of ways quite different business models. And so let's just talk about this topic is, what do you do when you begin to be able or you begin to be willing to generate more leads than you yourself or you and your agents can, let's just say, can follow up with well? So Eric, you just want to talk a little bit about kind of what you're dealing with, and then we can chat about maybe some ways to help or our experience or when we've had the same problem, that kind of stuff.
Sure. So probably when Zillow started making their changes in our market, we've switched over to this kind of flex pay Zillow on the back end referral program. So we've shifted that money that we were paying Zillow over to more pay-per-click. We were having pretty good success with Zillow and Realtor.com, kind of shared zip codes with Realtor.com, and you get to be quick on the phone and, book the appointment. So and then the whole Corona thing is obviously a lot more people are surfing online. So we've probably gone from generating 150 leads a month to about 330 with kind of the same formation or the same structure per se, where we have a system, obviously our CRM, Real Geeks, which sends out automated things. We have Ava on the front line. We're trying to make the phone call within 5 minutes or less, on top of having Ava who texts right away. But we're just having, we're having trouble keeping up with that. It's 2 buyer agents and myself. And as the team leader, I'm trying to obviously generate the leads. It's a good problem to have, right?
Yep.
I'm not complaining about having too many leads. It's just now, how do we capitalize on this? And my ROI is definitely not there where I want it to be. We're probably breaking even with pay-per-click, and that's not a good business decision. It's not bad if you can kind of dial that in and start making a profit from it. So yeah, from a team leader perspective, it's hard for me because I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to train, I'm trying to do all these things, plus kind of be the inside sales agent, keep people accountable. So it's becoming more and more a challenge. I know you guys, have experience with this. So, and you're right, it's not about how many leads, it's about the return and how can we convert these leads by having great conversations, booking appointments, getting out there to meet the client, make great presentations, get them to sign buyer brokerage agreements, and turn these leads into.
Let's jump in there for a second though, because obviously conversion is what matters. So I know Jason's itching to talk about what to do in response to that. And then I've got a thought or two also. So what's on the tip of your tongue, Jason?
Okay. So Eric, here's the thing that I think you need to think about. Okay. The agents that you have are not used to this type of lead. They're used to a quicker return on investment type lead, like the Zillow and some of these things where you can get the quicker wins. And so I think you have a couple problems. Number one is maybe there isn't the right, they haven't been trained on this type of lead source on this type of lead source to understand that it's a longer term nurture. So that could be one thing. Two things, they're probably not doing enough touches. So your systems probably don't have enough touches in the early process with these leads, and it's not systemized enough to go kind of the long haul. Might be a couple things. So what I've done in the past where I've had the best success with this is 2 things. Number one is our mentorship program. So we've created a 90-day mentorship program. So any agent that comes onto our team has to go through that program. And in order to go through that program, they have to become an ISA. So they have to go and learn how to convert these leads, learn our systems and work that. So that could be something if you're still looking to expand your team, create a mentorship opportunity, and we can talk offline. I'll share with you some stuff that I'm doing to help you with that. No charge, I'll just help you out, man. Just give you a couple good pointers, but a good training program around that so that the agents that you have that are working the leads are actually skilled at them and they've had time to really understand the concept. You may want to consider over time, maybe an inside sales agent model. So that could be something else that you could take a look at. That's something that I've been running since I started in the business. I know Todd runs a similar model too, which helps a lot. So for me, I'm able to have 7-day week coverage. I know I'm covering multiple points, but I think it's probably just really your agents just don't understand the lead source. I think they're more used to that quick turn them and burn them type lead source with Zillow, where these you're getting them early, quite a bit earlier in the process. So they might be 6, 8, 12, 18 months, 2 years because of this pandemic too. That may be part of your problem. So Todd, I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Let's just pause for a moment and make an international acknowledgement that Jason has caved and he is now calling it the ISA role. He's dumbing it down for the rest of us because he forever has hated that terminology. And I know why, for all the right reasons. On his team, they call that client care. As opposed to just like burn them and churn them ISA. So I'm just joking with him, but if we don't have a little fun on these things, we're not going to do them. So anyway, no, I think it's important to recognize that exchange of different lead type, different expectation, different way you approach it. But I would say just for the short term, get less leads, because Jason's going to argue with me. That's why I said that. But if at the moment you've got the people to handle 90 or 100 leads really well, you'll sell more houses that way. You will. Now, if you want to pay for more virtual service or hire new staff to manage those leads well, bring in client care or inside sales, that's great. But at the moment, if it's you and 2 buyer specialists who are good, but don't have the same skill set as you. And let's not ignore the fact that, you know, Eric helped run like the most productive real estate team in the history of residential real estate. Like this isn't amateur status stuff, right? So my point is, I think so often once we have our hands on the leads, you know, or have the names in the database, we're unbelievably reluctant to just say, look, I don't need that many, or I'll let some of them go or whatever. And I just know for so many people, the quickest way to see increased conversion is to do a better job with fewer people. You know, whatever the max you can hold, you can handle is, it might be 30 per person per month. It might be 40 per person per month. Depending on the people, it might be 20 or it might be 80. I mean, there's no right number, but if it's too much right now, I think it's okay to say, here's what I'm expecting each of you to do. Then you as a leader might want to solve that surplus problem with technology or third-party service or bringing in that inside sales or client care person. But that's my opinion. And I feel pretty strongly about it, that it's okay to say, I have the ability to get more leads, but we're not converting well. So at the moment, we're going to focus more on less of them and do a better job. Now, we've had what we call agent and training role on our team for years and years and years too. So when an agent comes in, they've got, you know, we say 12 weeks now. We've gone as low as 8 weeks and as long as 6 months with, you are basically an inside sales prospector until we get a pipeline rolling, and you got your blinders on to go through our listing a week program and our buyer a week program and all the modules and all the scripts and all the training, and you're shadowing the whole time. And by the time you go into production, you've seen, you know, 50, 60, 80 deals or whatever. But, you know, you can approach that however you want, but I don't think there's anything wrong with limiting the number of leads you give those agents, as long as they have a very clear expectation on what to do with every single one of them. Have you tried any of that yet?
No, because this is just over the last, 6 weeks, 2 months. So I've thought about that. I've thought about, obviously upping the training game. I've thought about, are we really going to get the return? Should we take some of that money and put it towards some of these other sources that we're getting a better return on? We've gone from 80% of our business being Sphere past clients to now it's about 50%. So the internet stuff is gaining traction. So it's not all bad.
Yeah.
But do I then spend more money and resources and bringing on an ISA? So I've thought about all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would do that once you.
It's time to do something.
Go ahead, Jason.
Can I chime in here? Sorry. Mm-hmm. I disagree with Todd wholeheartedly. Look, if you're, yeah, no, I do. I'm sorry, Todd, I love you, but,
it's okay for you to be wrong sometime, Jason.
Well, I actually think I'm right on this. So, if you're drinking through a fire hose, that's a good problem. Then what you need to focus on is better leverage, right? That when I started in the business, I had more leads that I could friggin' handle. Okay. I didn't do a great job of following up with every single lead, but I was working. I had an abundance of opportunities, which kept me action focused, which kept my pipeline nice and full. And I had tons of opportunities. And so instead of scaling back, what I did is I started focusing on leveraging and putting the right people in the right positions and developing and improving systems. But see, those leads, you're going to get some low-lying fruit that's going to shake out. And you got to understand too, that you're in a market cycle where we've just had a pandemic too, where like everything was put on pause. And so commissions that maybe would have happened 3 months from now, 2 months from now, might be 6 months from now, 12 months. So you have to understand that these checks, they're going to happen, but a lot of people have put things on pause right now. And they're just kind of this wait and see status. Now they're starting to come out of the woodworks, but there's still some of those people that are in a wait and see mode. So you just have to understand that, if you're evaluating this over the last 2 months, you have been dealing through a pandemic. So what we did 2 months ago is we stayed very proactive. We just shifted the conversation to more of an empathetic conversation, more of a human relationship conversation. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How's your employment position? Like, what can I do to help you? Not talk about real estate, but keep the relationship going. And then over the last 2 weeks, we've been shifting back to, hey, just so you know, this zombie apocalypse thing that everybody's been worried about, things are starting to normalize. Okay. Things are picking up in the market. There's a lot of optimism out there. So I just want you to know that if you're in a good place and you're feeling okay with work and everything else, things are going to be fine. And so we've been going back to more of our normal dialogues, and we're busier than we've ever been in the last couple of weeks. So I think, just keep that in mind. It was tough. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, for in April, we didn't put as many deals on the board as we're used to. It was our worst April for new deals that we put on the board. However, we kept our pipeline nice and full, and it's starting to burst now in May. And so the one thing I would just say is you're just going to have to be a little bit more patient and understand that things have just been delayed. So those commission checks are coming. But look, for me, I would never, ever coach my students. And again, I respect you, Todd. If they're looking to scale, which I know you're a guy that knows how to scale because you've ran big operations, you just need some better leverage in there. And that's
right.
where maybe it's time to maybe bring on one or two people.
But if you don't have those people right now, what do you do?
Don't turn off the leads. Keep them going, and you know what? They'll sit there. They'll get worked at some point. But start. I would start. You know, you can limit the leads you can give to your agent.
Would you continue to give those individual agents?
No. You could limit the number of leads, but I wouldn't limit the number of leads you're getting as a company, because even with some basic, because you have some systems in play, right? I know you use like Ava and right? So at least those leads are getting some touches.
Yeah, they're getting touches.
And just sitting in your database and some touches passively, I mean, 0.5% of those will probably at some point reach out. So there's going to be some low-lying fruit that shakes out. But if you pull back on that now and then try and restart it, then you're basically starting another 6 to 8 month cycle to kind of get that pipeline rolling again. So that's what I'm saying. So we're probably saying the same thing. I may be saying, don't take your foot off the gas. He's saying, we'll take a little bit of foot off the gas just because your people aren't going to work.
I'm saying for those agents, force them to focus on the number of leads that they can really, really, really diligently and successfully follow up with. And the same for yourself. But yeah, if you've got reasonably decent automation and you can afford it financially, I'm going to let those leads flow. But I will, just to continue the fun of contradicting Jason. If you have a higher ROI on another lead source that's easier and more manageable for you to work right now, I don't think there's any reason not to shave a little PPC budget over here to where you've got a higher quality, higher conversion, higher ROI inbound source. But where I definitely agree is it's okay to have some leads that you just acknowledge, like, hey, those aren't going to get the exact same follow-up as these over here, but some of them are still going to convert. And long-term, we're going to go back and get some of those because we're going to bring on staff or whatever. But I think even for those of us that have been out of it a little while, sometimes it's hard to forget, like, okay, I need to make a decision today on how to not have every agent on my team feel like they're in utter chaos, right? So you might say to them, instead of giving you 110 a month, I'm going to give you 40. But we're still going to have those leads. So if you come in and you get super on track and you're rocking and you're rolling, then you can go dip into the well and you can call thousands more leads whenever you want. But I'm expecting you every month to call these 40 within 5 minutes and, 7 times in 7 days, and text them 12, whatever your prime, your heavy touch, heavy client care, compassionate conversion strategy is. So what you said you're breaking even on PPC. That's a little concerning to me. So what do you think, that's just because you're beginning to convert kind of a long history of lead gen, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it just hasn't been a good return on our investment.
Ever?
You've
been doing
it.
It's been,
last year it was better, maybe 3x. Okay. This year it's breaking even. Zillow's
I'm going to secret shop you.
What's
that? Do you
mind?
mind? I'm going to secret shop you. Do you mind? Where I just want to go through your process as a consumer and break it down. And then when we do, because I still owe you that mastermind call I want to do with you.
Yeah, sure.
I snuck you on this, but I'll do that. And then I'll basically show you what we're doing and we can kind of exchange. Because I just think a few tweaks here and there might just start moving things in the right direction. You might have too aggressive of an approach in or it could be just the dialogues that aren't really engaging people. So sometimes it's just little subtle changes can make a big difference. Yeah, we have text campaigns that go on for 2 years built into our systems, and they're very client centric the way they're set up. They're very much about like more of a concierge style approach to this whole thing. So I'll be happy to share and open those up to you a little bit and make sure that you're, moving things in those right directions. But because for us, it's a huge ROI. We're probably 12x, 15x, something like that consistently every year with online stuff. So for us, it's one of our bread and butter opportunities. And I know you're in a good market for affordable lead gen too.
Yeah. We've been as high as 19%. That's why I was like, man, that's awesome. I don't know that even early on seeing break even or less there's something's out of whack there. So I would definitely take Jason up on that. And then just
tried
final,
early on when I was a solo agent, got into pay-per-click, and then I just started having a lot better success with Zillow, realtor.com. So we backed off of pay-per-click. And then, like I talked about, when Zillow made changes, we kind of went back to pay-per-click. And ever since, it really, really hasn't been a good source of investment for us. So
yeah,
well, definitely want to get it there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always one of our key three, so just, I don't want to insult your intelligence by trying to, hammer you on this deal on how to convert. I know that you do that well, but I do think the lead type changes, the temperament, attitude, needs, desires of an internet lead changes over time. We've retooled our follow-up system many times. And, Jason and I have, shared scripting and all sorts of stuff with each other forever. So, anyway, our ROI on internet is down a little bit right now, but I think some of that is super obvious as to just that return is delayed in the pipeline. It's building this bulge, and ours is starting to prove out too. We were 50% off goal in April, but June looks like we might be 200%. So we'll net out.
We've been really fortunate here in Georgia. I mean, we're probably one of the handful of states, including yourself, Todd, that we really didn't see a slowdown that much. I mean, we had enough business to kind of carry us through March and April. And now people over the last few weeks have been coming out of the woodwork. Inventory is still low. Obviously, the interest rates are like incredibly low right now. So yeah, the conversations are definitely changing a little bit, but we've been managed to stay pretty busy through the whole thing. So can't complain.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Well, this was a little hyper focused, but we'll chat again on the topic soon. And Jason and I have talked a little bit about having some guests on a little bit more often. So hopefully you found some value in this one. If you do, subscribe to the podcast, check it out, share it with somebody, like it on YouTube, whatever you're into, we're good with it. If you're interested in, the tips and the process and the follow through that Jason talked about, reach out to him with Sims Coaching. If we can help you, build a business that your ideal life dictates, where your business fits around that, or potentially focus on increasing your fees and your net profitability, all that kind of stuff, reach out to us. If you have referrals, Jason's in Nanaimo, Canada, and Eric's in north side of Atlanta, but I'm sure he can help you pretty much anywhere. And we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, each and every one of us would love to take great care of your friends, family, referrals, all that good stuff. So if you need coaching, have referrals, let us know. If you just want to tune in for good tips and trash talking and disagreements, then check out the next one. And we'll talk to you on the next Dual Threat very soon. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.